Welcome to KGXT, Gen X Talks podcast, live from Central California.
Making plans with the boys. I'm gonna hit the town. Yeah, I'm gonna make some noise. I'll push past the pain and my wounded pride. I'm gonna live it up. Yeah, stay out all night. But sure, I've had some better times. And I can't count all the tears I cried. And maybe down my last time. Yeah, but the blues took me just fine.
Need to get done.
Okay.
God, and that was hilarious. I wish that was on video. Where you were dropping and kicking and
No,
going
we don't.
at-
That's bad. I mean, I was like a fish out of
That
water.
should have been on video.
Yeah, it's on the security camera, but I'm not going to replay that one. Okay. So I guess we got to start with the intro. Okay, now that I'm all discombobulated.
Take a breath.
Okay, hydrate.
Woosah.
Woosah.
Hydrate.
All right.
We'll both hydrate. Okay.
Cooler, refreshing water, H2O.
Ready?
I'm
Set.
ready.
Go.
Welcome to KGXT podcast, Gen X Talk Studio. I messed that up. I had that
Wow.
backwards, didn't I?
Let's do it again. Ready?
Okay, yeah.
Take two.
Okay.
Go.
Welcome to the Gen X Talks podcast, broadcasting from the KGXT studios, live 200 feet below occupied California. Is that better?
Wow, you got through that.
Yeah. How did I reverse that? I had them completely backwards.
I don't know.
It's my dyslexia creeping in. I knew it. I knew
Do
eventually
you
I
have
was gonna-
dyslexia?
Well, I can't just say I screwed it up. I have to blame it on something, rather be a medical condition.
Well, thank God it's not me. Or it's the kid. Or it's Trippy.
So, do you want to tell everybody where you've been for 2 days?
Sick.
You have been down for the count.
Yes.
I mean, you told me I have a head. Well, Tuesday night after the Bottom of the Glass Nation show.
Well, first, during the Bottom of the Glass Nation, I started getting an itchy throat. Like, you get that first sign, like
Yeah.
something's happening. I'm
Right.
like, damn. Okay. And the kid was sick. I was taking care of him last week or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, well, okay. And then after we were done with Bottom of Glass Nation, I went in to watch the end of the basketball game. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not feeling good. And then
Because I stayed in here and I kept working.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I thought you were in there watching the NBA game, and you just texted me and said, I'm done.
I'm going to bed. I
Yeah.
didn't even watch it. I took some NyQuil and went to bed. And then in the morning when I woke up, I had a raging headache for a good 24 hours. I had a headache. All I wanted to do was close my eyes. It
Well,
was
all
pretty
you told
bad.
me that next morning was you were out. You go, I'm out. I've got a very bad cold. And I said, okay. So I left you alone. The kid checked on you. And then of course, I had my phone. All you had to do is text me and I can come running.
I didn't even text. I didn't
No,
text
you didn't.
anybody.
You didn't say anything. And,
No.
and Briggs kept checking on you. And then I started to not feel good towards the end of the day. And Jade, our daughter, the millennial daughter, can't make up her mind on stuff. She was at work up at the farm, and she said, "Is Mom still sick?" And I go, "Yeah, she's not good, and I'm not feeling good." She left work right then. She came straight home. She fed the dogs. She fed me. She fed you. She checked on the chickens. I mean, she just came right home and just kind of took over and said, "I got you guys, whatever you need," and we were good. But you were still out.
Yeah,
You've only had, by my calculations, in the last 36 hours or so, 40 hours, you've only had half a grilled cheese sandwich. I'm not even sure how you're functioning. Someone holds out that little food for me. I'm a big guy. You only give me half a grilled cheese in 48 hours.
I'm not hungry.
I'm tearing something up.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not hungry.
I'm burning something to the ground.
I do have some yucca water that I feel like I'm a little dehydrated, but the headache's gone today. I'm sure I'm weak because I haven't eaten.
Right.
But now my nose is like running. So whatever is in my head cold is broke. So
Ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, she doesn't have a cold. Her nose isn't running. She's crying because she's missed me so terribly much that she's sobbing in studio live on
That's
KGXT.
yeah, that's it. I'm sure they can hear it in my voice. Somebody mentioned it during the live stream on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? What's
Yeah.
today?
Yeah, on Tuesday's show.
On Tuesday, they even mentioned it. I guess when I was reading the sheets, they're like, is something wrong with you? Like somebody noticed, I guess.
I didn't notice, but I was wrapped up in what I'm doing. Maybe I just didn't catch on to it. But I can tell, I knew when you didn't get up. First of all, when you don't get up and function during the day, you're on death's door because you always get up and move. You never forget your dogs. You never forget your chickens or your bunnies. If you can't go do those basic things, then you're in trouble.
And that was the headache. If I didn't have the headache, I'd still get up and go. I mean, a head cold doesn't slow me down, but the headache was nasty, just really nasty.
Speaking of MarcyZavala.com,
MarcyZavala.com.
your pain, all of your pains are gone. She has solved mysteries inside of your body that have not been solved in over 10 years, except for the lower back pain.
Yes.
Which on that trip to Arizona, you popped your back in the truck and things were much better. So we know it's some sort of an alignment muscle, something.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with everything. It has that muscle back there. My lower back is
But the joint pain that you've had in your knees, your ankles, your wrists, your elbows, gone.
That's pretty much gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah,
I have worked through all of my pain. I just get stiff from not moving. And I've gone back on the thing where I've been watching what I eat for the last 3 days. Now I'm losing weight again. So I'm good. The only, we each have one problem left. You got that lower back pain. I've got some weird intestine pain. It's below my stomach. It's not my stomach. And it goes for like, if it comes on, it feels like you pull a muscle, like you got a groin pull, but it's lower. It's like in your, it feels like it's below my gut. Like, I don't know, I'm guessing, but it goes for 10 hours. Like a clock, it'll go for 10 hours and then it loosens up. So if it develops in the morning, I can fight it during the day, but I at least get sleep. But man, if it comes on at 8 o'clock at night, I'm done till 6 in the morning. I can't sleep. I can't do anything. There's no comfortable position. But again, I think Marcy has solved all of my problems. Now I think diet will work on that one for me.
Good.
I'm not sure what your last problem is going to take, but I mentioned to Dr. McDreamy one time, I said, hey, maybe we just need a Gen X mom to the chiropractor because we all have a friend who's a chiropractor here in town. And he goes, no, that's probably not what's needed. We'll go another direction. And I said, are you sure? He's way smarter than you.
Oh.
And Dr. McDreamy goes, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I said, well, because we went to him before and I was making mention of chiropractors versus medical doctors. And it seems like every chiropractor I've ever met gives me the same speech. I have to go to medical school just as long as a doctor. I have to go through all the training a medical doctor has to go through. Plus, I have years of chiropractic training. So
I think Dr. McDreamy has that background now too of a chiropractor, a DO.
I don't know what it is, but I'll tell you what, there is some sort of weird rivalry in that profession.
Chiropractors scare me.
Me too.
No. If anybody listening, I watch those things on TikTok or not on TikTok, on Instagram about them cracking their.
Yeah, what if they make a mistake and snap your neck and you're dead? Because the way a chiropractor grabs your neck and snaps it and you're okay is an awful lot like a guy in the Marine Corps snapping your neck to kill you.
Yeah,
it's very similar training in my book. Well, anyway, so I think there's a rivalry between those two because each profession seems to get very defensive. Like, hey, man,
aren't you that way when you're a mechanic against a dealer mechanic? Like
no,
a regular.
We're all on the same page. We are.
Really, there's no like I'm better than you.
A little bit, but with it's kind of like a dealership guy go, well, you don't know how to work on the most modern Chevys. You're always 3 years behind because I'm a dealership guy. And then I look at him and go, yeah, but you don't know shit about a BMW any year. You don't know dick. So, there's okay. A little bit. All right.
I got it.
It's not like it's not always a dick measuring contest. I know you think that, but it's not.
Everything in a guy's world is that.
What are you talking about?
You guys all do that.
What do you mean?
It's a dick measuring contest with everything.
I don't know if I agree with that. Not completely.
You're not going to because you're a guy.
Well, doesn't mean okay. Just because I'm a guy doesn't mean you're right.
Yeah, it does. But okay, we'll move on.
All right, whatever. So, all right, the bad thing is my Chrome froze up. I can't move anything on here. So,
what are you talking about?
I can't move my screen. So, anything we're supposed to ask about, you're gonna have to bring every bit of it up. I'd have to shut my computer off and start over again.
Music just came back on for a second, but the live is back now. Maybe that's what happened.
Well, I don't know, but on mine, this is what's happening a lot to me lately. I can't, if I have...
How many tabs do you have open?
3. That's it. But what I'm saying is that I can't, unless I shut my entire computer down right now, there will be no way for me to do this again.
It looks like
wow,
you're glitchy.
look at your thing there. on the recording.
I see that.
You know what we should do? We should just restart this real quick, and I can splice these two together.
All right. Tell everybody.
Everybody, hang on. We're going to shut this thing off. You're going to go back to regular music. We're 13 minutes in. Let me shut this down and restart it. We'll pick up right where we left off. I very promise. The documents to the Book of Lies, the notes. For those of you that aren't familiar with the broadcast on...
Trippy says we're good.
Trippy says we're good. Well, if Trippy says we're good in the hood, then baby, we're good in the hood. All right. So we're back. Everything's working how it's supposed to. I'll have a little bit of work splicing those two together later, but I'll take care of that. It'll give me something to do today. And so we talked about it. So we're finishing up the topic about chiropractors and medical doctors, and we're talking about what else? That was it. I don't know what the rivalry is there. You talked about rivalry mechanics. You talked about everybody's measuring a dick competition, but I don't know that that's true.
Okay.
You've done that before at barbecues when me and my buddies are arguing. You've waited till the argument gets out there. And what's your famous phrase when you want us all to shut up?
Whip them out. Let's see who's got the biggest dick. Let's just go.
Let's just go.
That's what it comes down to.
And then we all shut up. We're like, no, I don't want to do that.
Then it doesn't matter anymore, does it?
All right. So, that was MarcyZavala.com and Dr. McDreamy and chiropractors and dick measuring, which was written down as that was what our topic, our first segment was supposed to go just that way. Let's move on to something really important.
What's that?
You're old.
No, I'm not.
And you're getting older next week.
Aren't we all?
Well, you have a significant date, another trip around the sun for you.
Yes, next week, next podcast.
Next podcast, you will be old.
I will not. Okay.
You said in the restaurant the other day, you got all upset and you looked at me and said, "Oh my God, I'm catching up to you in age."
Yes.
You were almost looking at my face like, am I going to look like that? Which, got to tell you, that didn't make me feel too good, but I understood what you're saying.
The birthday's coming.
June 6th, you will have another trip around the sun for you.
Yep. People were joking about 666, stuff like that. I said, that's the ongoing joke from my dad. He wanted me to be born in 66 so I could be 6666. Yeah, thank God.
And then that Yukon that we bought back in 2008.
I know.
Had the license plate 666, right? Built into it. Wasn't even by choice.
I am not the Antichrist, no. That's
so
not me.
I did get you something for your birthday.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Do I get it today?
I have it today, but I'm going to install it tomorrow.
Install it?
While you were unconscious, being sick for a couple of days, the pool pump quit, and I couldn't fix it because I got to get in.
That's what I got for my birthday?
A pool pump, yeah. It was a lot of money. Listen, I got a good one that's going to last for 20 years. Now, if that doesn't say, I love you with some dedication, I'm getting you an object that will last 20 years. You know what that means? That means I'm in this for the long haul. That's what that should tell you.
Wow. Every time I look at that pool pump.
Every time.
My heart will go pitter pat. Wow.
Got to look at you can get all your girlfriends and go, look what I got.
That took a lot of thought there.
Bring them outside and show them your pool pump.
Kai, when your birthday comes around on Christmas, I'm going to go see all these presents under the tree.
Yeah.
I bought these all for your birthday to give to other people.
Wow. If that isn't taking the game a step further.
Just saying.
So my present to me is you gifting humanity. Thanks a lot for that. Wow.
It's so selfless, isn't it?
You know, the other day when you killed that spider and I told you the story, you just saw a spider on the wall in the studio and you walked up and you just smacked it.
I didn't even think about it.
No, you didn't. You just smacked it and I asked you, I go, was that a big, like a daddy long leg spider? And you're like, yeah.
It was.
And then I told you the story that the kid, Briggs, was chasing it around the studio with a water bottle trying to smack it because he didn't want to touch it with his hands. So last week we told everybody that story. I said, the kid didn't do it. You walked in and smacked. Well, I told him that I told everybody. And usually he doesn't care. And he wigged out. He goes, you told everybody that I didn't kill the spider and that mom did? I go, well, yeah, it was funny. He goes, why would you tell people that? I go, because it was funny. Yeah, he did not like that at all, that I told everybody that he was trying to chase it around with his little water bottle and 2 fingers on the lid of his water.
Smash with your hand.
That's what I try to tell him. And he goes, well, it was a different spider. Mom was killing a much smaller one, of course. And I go, you weren't here. How would you know? I go, she killed it, and it was the same spider. No, it must have been smaller because he was having a problem with it. He had a problem with the daddy long legs because it was about the big as the palm of his hand. You know, the body is real small, but the legs are long.
Yeah.
And I said, why won't you just smash it? He goes, look how big it is. I go, do you think it's going to grab you and flip you over? Who cares about the size? You're bigger. He won't do it. He will not. I don't know. I guess there's people out there that they have to run and get a tissue or running. And if
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll get a Kleenex or something, but I just went for it.
If you're worried about something stinging you or biting you, yeah, I would probably say so too. But if it's something like that where you know it's not going to do it, just kill it and move on.
Which I did.
And even if, okay, let me ask you this. Even if there's a spider that's on a wall, he's crawling up a wall slowly, and let's say you knew it could bite you. Maybe not poisonous, but you knew it would hurt if it bit you. Why couldn't you still just squash it? Wouldn't it have to turn its head around and actually bite you during the squishing process? I mean, even if a spider had a knife in his hand, if you kill him from behind while he's crawling a wall, he's not going to stab you.
That's true.
All right. Well, see, I knew I was thinking about this.
He just hasn't had enough experience with spiders, I guess.
You know, speaking of getting bit, something happened last summer I didn't tell you about because I was too embarrassed.
Last summer?
We're
going way back.
It just came to me right now.
What?
So, you know, sometimes when I need to take a leak and I'm way out in the back part of the property, I just find a tree or, you know, the back part where undeveloped part of the property. And, you know, you go out there in the dirt or something and just whip out your Johnson and get it done.
Okay.
And it was the end of last summer. And I would say fall was coming. And sometimes when you take a leak, that's the first time your Johnson's been out in the sunlight in a long time. So sometimes the boys are moving free in the wind. You think, that feels kind of good. So you close your eyes and hang on for a second.
You have a little moment.
Just a little moment.
Okay.
And something poked my left nut. And I about freaked out. I thought something crawled up and bit me because
You came out of Nirvana pretty quick.
Real fast.
Okay.
Yeah. That's true. You know what it was?
A leaf.
A leaf
probably.
had fallen from the tree. And, you know, some leaves, not very often, but a leaf can have a really sharp little tiny point on it. You know, and it came down and it floated back and forth and back and forth. And on one of the fourth moves, it poked me in the balls. And how do I know? Because the leaf had fallen into my pants. I had to pull it out. I found it in my underwear and had to pull it out.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
It wasn't a bad one, but it poked it. Now you think, well, how much can a leaf really hurt? Look when it hits your nutsack, you know, it feels like 10 times worse than if it just hit you in the knee or something.
Okay, I wouldn't know those.
So I didn't tell you that last year, but now I'm comfortable telling you that I got poked in the left nut by a leaf. That was a first for me.
Okay.
All right.
So did you do any podcast interviews this week? I don't remember.
Yeah,
I've been kind of out of loop kind of thing.
I did Zippix, the Zippix nicotine tooth guy.
Oh, yeah.
His name was Marcus Kruk, and he was so much fun to talk to.
Cool.
There's a guy we got off track of his Zippix nicotine toothpick. First of all, he loved all the times that we've talked about him. He goes, "You guys are so funny. It's so great." And you guys have seen the short, the TikTok or the reel on Zippix with our daughter and stuff. And we got off on different topics of cars and boats and him growing up. And part of it was how hard it was for him to do that, you know, and you listen to the interview. It's not a long, it's like 45 minutes, but you listen to him and he goes, every time I try to do something, we get knocked down and tried this. He goes, until, you know, I just spent every dollar I had trying to get this going. And then it finally worked. Now he's doing okay.
Oh, that's good.
And he's had a great idea and it's good for people. It really is helping people. So I told him, I said, look, man, you don't got to pay me anything, but if you give me, a bunch of those Zippix nicotine sticks, I said, we're going to be in Torrance on June 22nd, I think it is. There's a big cultural festival down in Torrance, down in Southern California. So we're going to be the 10,000 people show up to this thing every year. And Daniel Edwards is working with the city council and they asked us to come do this. So we're going to, I said, I'll give away your product. I said, you don't even got to pay me. Just give me the stuff. And as in the course of the day, I'll hand it out to people. Hey, you want to quit smoking? I don't mind. If it's helping people in the right direction, I told him I'd do it for free.
Oh, that's cool.
And he's a great guy. So that's the only one that we've done so far. But he was this week. But we had like 3 or 4. Oh, you know what you don't know? You woke up when you were sick. You woke up and said, "You have an interview at 10 o'clock," and you went back to bed.
Oh yeah, that's right. I did.
Well, they postponed it.
Oh.
But I did my homework on those guys, and now I want one.
Pit barrel cooker.
Pit barrel cooker.
Is it a smoker?
No.
Or is it? What is it?
Okay, imagine a 55-gallon drum, like a trash, like you and I used to use for trash cans, just drums.
Okay.
So imagine that. It's off the ground 4 inches, standing on its end.
Okay.
And there's 2 pieces of rebar across the top. You hook your meat, and you hang the meat like ribs or big pieces of meat. You hang it inside
the barrel.
And at the bottom is the flame that comes up. And you're going to love this part. All they use is charcoal.
Nice.
They have a basket you lower down. The basket has it's a round basket, and you fill it till it's full. He goes, "This is how you know you never mess up." He goes, the guy, because I did my homework on this is even the interview. He says, you fill the basket full of Kingsford until it's full. You put it down on the bottom. You light it up. You put the lid on. 15, 20 minutes later, you open it up. There's 2 rebars across the barrel. You hang your meat on it, close it. He goes, takes a little bit longer than a grill, but it's a lot faster than a smoker. And he goes, the flavor is amazing because it works like convection heat. Huh. It stays in there and hits it from all around.
Now you want one.
Oh, I want one bad. Yeah. I don't even want them to give me one. I want to be able to go on there and say, "Hey, I'd like to."
I don't want that for my birthday.
You already got a pump. So maybe for your next birthday or for Christmas, you can get a cooker. They're really cool. They're not super expensive. And I really want to know this guy's story on how he did all this.
You were talking to a girl, Amber. Huh? Amber was a girl that was going to do the interview.
Oh, it was a girl? The guy does all the commercials, the husband.
Well, she was going to do it.
Oh, okay. Well, far out.
So you didn't get that one done.
No, I did. They postponed it. They're going to do something. Jacob called and said they postponed, but they still want to do it. And they're not a sponsor. They're not an advertiser. They just look, more exposure. And I said, yes. And after I'd done all the stuff, I go, let them know I'm very interested in this one.
All right. So you just did Zippix this week.
Right.
Okay.
Zipic's the only one I did, but that was fun. So.
The interviews aren't mixed in with our podcast, are they?
No. We did, that was remember when that was a thing? We didn't know what to do with those.
Yeah.
And we were mixing them in with the podcast. You go 3 or 4 podcasts and you have an interview, and people were getting pissed. And I kept saying, hit the skip button. If you don't like the interview, skip, go to the next one. Right. Still didn't work. So we have if you go to the kids' website, genxtalks.com, there's pictures, and you click a picture and you go to what it is. One of them is a picture of the podcast, and it goes to the audio portion or the video portion. But there's also an interview one. We keep that up to date. That takes you right to the Spotify interview page.
Oh, that's cool.
The problem is that our podcast is out everywhere. It sends an RSS feed to so many different places that do podcasts. But we don't have an RSS feed for the interview, so it's only on Spotify right now. Oh, we need to figure out how to let that free, go like the other ones. But I don't know how to do that yet. I'll have to ask the kid. But it's on. But the link is there, so you can still see them. Yeah, we keep them separate. But now I think we're at 18 or 19 interviews.
Wow!
And
you still have some in the bank too.
Oh yeah, that I haven't even produced
like
yet.
Mine.
Yeah. Yes, your cancer one. I know. I get emails every week. They want to hear that story. And Dr. McDreamy finally gave up bothering me about it. He's like, when's it coming out? And I'm like, I'm working on it. It does take so long to do. That's the problem. So anyway, yes.
I think he just doesn't want to release it.
Why would I not want to release it? We spent 4 hours recording it.
I know, or longer. I don't know. It was crazy, but
I don't know. I will do it. I just got to find time.
So are you going to let anybody know about our daughter update? Do we have a daughter update?
Yeah, boy, I got a weird one from our son too. The daughter update is just
which son?
The one, home Briggs, the one at home.
Okay.
You don't even know about this because you've been unconscious for 2 days. We talked.
I've not been unconscious.
You've been
I
in
haven't
a
been
coma.
feeling good.
You've been in a coma.
No,
that's the way it's been.
Okay.
When clean clothes don't magically appear in my dresser, when food doesn't magically appear on my table, you're in a coma. That's the way I view it.
Okay.
It's really a short update on the daughter. You guys are all caught up on all the stuff she's done up until this point, and she will not move back in with him, and she doesn't want to move back in here. Right now, for some reason, she is perfectly comfortable 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out. She goes and spends like 3 nights a week with him at his place. Then she comes back home and spends 4 days and nights here. And it's not like when she's here, she's going out with her girlfriends and she's going shopping. She just kind of sits in her room on her phone. And I know that's a sign of the times for a lot of millennials. I get that. She works 2 jobs. She pays all her bills. She pays her car payment. She pays her insurance. She does her stuff. But her social life seems so foreign to me. It's so weird because she rides to work with him. He rides his motorcycle over to our house at like 4 a.m. At 5 a.m, they get in her car, drive to work, and then they both come home together and he rides home. And some days those are on the days she's here. Other than that, she does that just from his place. She has no intention of moving in with him because I've asked her. She's like, no, I'm not trying to move in there or move back in. And she has no intention of leaving here. And she doesn't do anything on the in-between. It's like, well, what happened to getting married, getting a house? The things she said she wanted. I didn't say she wanted those things. I didn't go, well, you're not a complete person until you do those things. I never said that. I'm waiting for her to decide what she wants. And she has there's no future. If you asked her, what do you see yourself doing in 3 years? She would say, well, I'd like to be married and have kids and have a house and blah, 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 blah. And then I say, well, what is your future? What do you really think it's going to look like in 3 years? Because your current path, your current trajectory, she goes, I'll probably be doing the same thing.
That's it?
There's
it.
There's no future is what I'm saying. She's somehow got in this routine, this rut. And then, you didn't hear what happened between Briggs and her the other day.
Uh-oh.
Again, you were in a coma.
Okay.
So her one chore here is, and she does pay rent, but her one chore is to do the dishes for you.
Yes.
So, and one of the problems that Briggs has had, he wants to bring back the Big Show. For those of you in radio and TV land that don't know what the Big Show is, you really were missing out on something. We haven't done the Big Show in a year, but they were Gen X Talk's staple. They were so much fun to do.
How it all kind of started.
Yeah. And we don't have a place. We built the studio.
You did it in my kitchen.
We did it in your kitchen or the garage, but we built the studio and then we did not build the studio in a way we could do a Big Show. It just wouldn't work.
Right.
For those of you that remember the Big Shows, we were side by side. It wasn't separate cameras. And it was we couldn't do it on different cameras. We had to be side by side. So the studio doesn't work. So we built the studio. We still can't do a Big Show. So we talked about taking one of the spare bedrooms and turning it into a counter, putting a counter up for a Big Show. But of course, we never did it.
Thank God.
So back to my story. So the other day, Briggs does the dishes for Jade.
Okay.
And then says, I did the dishes. I can do them every day. It's not that tough. Kick her out.
Ow.
I said, what? And, Jade's like, what do you mean? He goes, look, if your only contribution around here is dishes and you're not here half the week, I'll do the dishes and you move out so I can turn your room into the Big Show room.
How'd that go over?
Not well. You want to talk about two brother and sister screaming at each other about stuff, and Briggs just walking away, shaking his head. He goes, you don't do anything around here anyway. So, but she did. She came home from work and took care of both of us. She took care of that. She came home from work when she found out you were still sick. After the second day, she's like, okay, I'm coming home. She left work early, came home, fed the dogs, fed the chickens, fed the bunnies, took care of me, took care of you, and then cleaned up the kitchen and everything. She did a good job. Briggs would not do that for us. He would not. You'd have to twist his arm to do that, but she did it. But setting that aside, in a teenage boy's thinking, I'll do the dishes, you need to leave. So I can do my Big Show. We can tear up your room and make a Big Show area. So
he's the star.
He did not care about her at all.
That's
I
funny.
said, well, do you want to pay the couple bucks rent she's paying too? He goes, no, I don't really want to do that part. So he wasn't that committed.
That's funny.
So I don't know. She's got 1 foot out the door, 1 foot in the door. She has no future plans to do anything.
It's kind of sad.
All the conversating about how she was going back to nursing school. She doesn't talk about that anymore. She doesn't bring it up. It just sits right where it is. And there we are.
That's like no motivation. Nothing.
I don't know. I wish I knew more. By the way, I want to talk about something from a while back with you. I'm going to just say this as a public service announcement for men out there.
Oh,
It's a trick question. It's been going around. And I don't know where you got this from or if you started this. Maybe you started it on the internet.
I started something?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
All right, you got to tell me what this is because I don't I'm not following.
This is something that happened to you and I not too long ago, but I didn't bring it up. But now it's
smelling what you're stepping in right now.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
But this is all over now. This is like a trending thing. And I'm thinking, so either my wife heard about this at the beginning of the trend or she started this dumb shit. Men, if your wife comes to you and sits down and wants to have a long conversation over a cup of coffee and says to you, loving husband of mine, if I came to you and I told you that I thought I really needed therapy, would you endorse that? And of course, I said yes, as most husbands would. Then your wife would come back and say, as my wife did, what if I told you therapy was going to be $300 an hour? To which I, of course, said, well, I don't care. I will pay any cost at all for my loving bride. I would do that for you. Yes, I would find a way to pay $300 an hour for your therapy. So my wife went shopping at Target. Now, of course, we reversed all this decision-making process after the initial, but she tried to tell me this was retail therapy at $300 an hour. And if that was what was working for her, and I agreed to it, what is the problem? Okay, many problems with this, but now I see this is now a trend. I've seen it on TikTok. I've seen it on Reels.
It does help.
Okay, well, you know, the way you women color this is if I needed help, if I needed therapy, would you be there for me? Would you spend the money to help your wife? Of course we would, because if you just came up and said, would you be okay with me spending $300 every Tuesday at Target? We'd say no. We'd say, of course not. You're not going to go shop.
I had to paint the picture as to why.
Okay, it's a little bit deceptive. I know retail therapy is a real thing.
It's a very real thing.
I know it's a real thing. But I'm just saying that I think I'm going to say perhaps, you know, we should frame that a little more honestly.
I was totally honest.
Well, anyway, it's a public service announcement. If your wife sits you down and starts talking about paying for therapy, before you agree, before you make the mistake I did, put some parameters on it. That it has to be with a legitimate therapist. It's got to be a business card involved. Maybe you want to drop her off at the therapy place, and it can't involve pushing a red cart under a red dot. There.
So specific.
Well,
man.
Now, yeah. All right.
How's your gold coins coming? I have been out of the loop, so I don't know.
Yeah, during your coma, we sent out 10 gold.
Stop saying coma. I was not in a
when you're
coma.
on your deathbed for 2 days.
Oh no!
When you died for 2 days and rose again. 10.
Did you die?
Did you? I did not die. But
Okay, then shut up.
It looked like you did. 10 gold coins went out, and they'll be once they're placed, they will be listed on the website and on Discord. Discord is just chat rooms that we all use. That Gen X Talks has their own server, and they're just like old school chat rooms. But one of them in there is about the gold coining, clues, and talking. And so it's discord.gg/Gen X Talks. I think that's the link on it. If you guys want to go there, and they'll be announced. They'll be put up there. It'll be on the website when they're all placed.
Is there any that are new that have been found?
Not new, but the one in Arizona I thought for sure was going to be found already, but it wasn't. The one in Arizona they've been looking and they got close, but nobody's found it. And then there's one in Northern California and one in Oregon. That's a tough one too.
Huh.
And they've solved most of the clues on it, but they just can't figure out quite where.
Interesting.
But they're out there. There's still some out there.
All righty. Well, it's good that there's a little struggle now because it seemed like as soon as we planted one, it was found.
Yeah, it's like we're driving home. It's almost they're finding it right behind us. It's like, my God, how did you do that? Or one day you hide a gold coin in, around the country, 50 states and 50 coins, and you hide it, and then all of a sudden you get home, and the next day some guy's showing you a picture. I found it. It's right here.
Damn. That was like.
Then you're slapping me, going, "You told you should have hid that one better."
For sure.
I don't think it's the hiding it better. I think sometimes the clues we give are a little bit.
The clues we give?
Yeah.
No, that's you. The clues you give.
I was speaking of the proverbial we, the collective
I'm
we.
not part of the we in this one.
Hey, Chef John is pretty much 99% going to be at the Labor Day barbecue now.
I heard.
That is going to be great. That's the guy that we met in Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the Indian casino with that nice restaurant there.
I still think that video that I shot of him and his reaction was
well, yeah.
gold.
because I was trying to compliment him on his steak, and all of a sudden, about 2 minutes in, 3 minutes in, when he recognized who I was, he's like, "Oh my God, you're on TikTok," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, but that's not the point."
That wasn't the whole thing. Stop. Yeah,
that wasn't the point of the story.
Right.
I was trying to compliment you, and he's like, "Yeah, whatever, man. Thanks for liking my steaks. Can I grab my camera?" I'm like,
I know that was
really the most important person in that story was him. That is a talent. What he does took time and training and years. I mean, I was complimenting him.
Now he's the GXT chef.
Oh yeah,
make him our own.
I'm telling you, he was absolutely. He was. That was the best steak. I think right up there at the top of what I've ever had anywhere I've ever been.
And everybody that's going to meet him, that'll be awesome. There's still barbecue tickets available for September.
Yeah, not many, but if you guys want to go, to the barbecue, find the website, the link. It's a drop-down link. It's not one of the main pictures, I don't think, but it's a drop-down link. And click on it, get a ticket, because if you can make it out here, we're in the Southern California area, we're a little bit north of Southern California. But if you can make it, it's once a year, and it's really, really a lot of fun to be there. And Dr. McDreamy said he was going to show Sun Valley Fox, Iceman. A lot of the staff's going to be here. This one's going to be even more fun than last year. We're going to make it that way.
Absolutely.
So,
what's next for us? June looks like it's going to be very crazy.
I have something to tell you.
Uh-oh.
No. Something that happened this morning. So right now it is 10:45 Los Angeles time.
All right.
And this happened when I woke up, came downstairs, and got in studio.
All right.
We have a Gen X Talks phone.
Yes, we do.
So it's just not a personal phone. It's a Gen X Talks phone. It has a phone number. It's on the website. It's on Facebook and all those places. And people do text us and send us things on it. And this morning, there was a text message, which I thought was fake.
Okay. Yeah, we get a lot of those.
And I will read it to you right here. Let me find it real quick.
You got to read it right off the phone?
I do. It's really short, but I thought if I read it, it would be more personal.
Okay.
And it is right here. And I'll click on that. Okay. So it just says at the top, it says, hello, I am a producer with Chris Cuomo.
Nuh-uh.
Do you know who Chris Cuomo is?
Yeah, he's the news guy.
Yeah, it was CNN for a while.
He was in a lot of trouble or did something.
Yeah, he got in trouble.
From CNN?
He got fired from CNN. His brother was governor of New York. His dad was governor of New York years ago.
Okay, so this is fake. This has got to be fake.
It says he loves your content and wants to invite you to his show next week for an interview. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks so much. And her name's Nora Gall.
No way.
And it was in the phone number. So I went online, of course, looked up Chris's show, and sure enough, and she is a producer on his show, but it still could be fake.
Okay.
Because you're thinking, all right, someone did the same thing I did, and
okay. Did you call the number?
Well, I texted first and said, hey, text us or email us an email.
Okay.
So right away, I got an email, and her return email was at The Hill. It's not a Gmail account.
Yeah.
Not a Yahoo account.
Interesting.
It was at thehill.com. And I'm like, okay, this is legit. So I went ahead and texted and said, call when you get a chance, from my phone, from my regular phone number.
Okay.
And I said, this is, and so within 20 minutes, she calls. And it was really her. It was really a thing. And she was just laughing and talking about how Chris loves our content. He just absolutely loves the stuff that's on there. And would like to be on a segment of his show usually what she told me was, she says, Chris does these shows now, and I forget, he's with it's another news agency. It's not Newsmax. It was a News Source or News. I got to look it up, but he's mued to another agency, another network, right?
Yeah.
And he does every Friday. They kind of get away from political and stuff, and they do some things that are lighthearted. They put some segments together to kind of end the week and start the weekend. And so, you could be on there 5 minutes. That could be, our contribution could be 5 minutes, or it could be, 15. It could be a whole segment. Depends on, if we're fun or entertaining or if it's interesting, that's their choice. But we talked out a few of the details and what we were doing, and, probably not tomorrow, maybe next week, by next Friday. And she said she'd be in touch. And I did tell her to contact you because I'm not allowed to schedule anything.
That's right.
And so I thought it'd be fun to talk to Chris. He's kind of mellowed out in the last few years, and I think he's kind of coming into his own stride of his own thing. He's not so.
Be interesting to see you two go.
Well, I don't think it's going to be political. I think it's just going to be Gen X Talks, lighthearted. I think we're just going to, hang out and talk about what a fun thing Gen X Talks is.
Awesome.
And how much. I think that's all it is. And
so it wasn't fake.
It wasn't fake. It was real.
That's crazy.
Because when you call back, you get her message. When you call back or when you check the number, where is it from and it's hers. It's from the studio.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very, very cool.
So if we do that, that'll be fun.
Yeah, we'll be able to tell next podcast if it's
probably our next podcast, we will be able to say
tomorrow. Or
tomorrow. Yeah, we're going to be on tomorrow live. I think they do it live.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know that they record. I think their show's live.
All right.
So that would be fun to do. That would be interesting to say the least, would it not?
Do you hear your dog?
Yeah, she over there snoring.
She is. Yeah, it's quite loud. I was like, while you were talking, thinking, man, I wonder if people can hear that.
I can sometimes hear it, so I'm assuming it's coming through your mic, and you never know. But so that was.
Why don't you tell people about your dog?
Well, it's not. Why all of a sudden this has been the family dog?
She loves you.
Reagan is the family dog. Reagan didn't have her own person. Riker goes to Briggs. Riley was my dog. Ranger is your dog. And the family plays. But Reagan really didn't have a person. Reagan was just the family dog. Now, she's taken to me quite a bit this last year, but I think that's because she's not well.
No, she's 14.
And she's on that last part of her life. She sleeps all day.
Yeah.
She's still eating and moving, but
she's not in pain, and she's eating, and so she's good. But we now have pulled her bed, her large bed. She's a German Shepherd.
Yeah, so she's
a big
got a
dog.
big, large bed.
And it's sitting next to me in the studio right now. And she is sprawled out, happy as a clam right now.
When you come into this, when she comes in here, now that you've moved her bed in here, she'll come in here and she'll come and get loves from me. She wants me to pet her and give her a little cookie. Then she'll lay on that thing for as long as I'm in here. She will stay.
Well, she's snoring right now.
Yeah. So what are some of the other people that have, now you can tell, I was going to say it's not surprising sometimes when Chris Cuomo is listens to the watches Gen X Talks, because you got to think, celebrities are on TikTok too. Celebrities are on Reels. Celebrities are on Shorts. They scroll through in their free time. They do it just like anybody else. Sometimes you have to wonder how many super famous people have ever just scrolled through our stuff and laughed.
Yeah.
And maybe moved on. Just saw it and moved on.
Yeah.
Because, if they're seeing it, I'm sure they might have seen it at some point. But on Reels,
on
Instagram Reels, if someone likes something, you get to see.
Yeah, it gives me a priority notice is what it's called. And so it will bring up a name with a check mark next to it. And I always some of them I recognize, some I go check to see who they are, because it just seems like everybody can get a check mark now.
Right.
But yeah, lately, over the last month or so, I've been seeing some really big names check out either the pictures that we have posted or have checked out the Reels, which has been. But this morning I found one and I knew you would love it. This morning was Frank Stallone.
Yeah.
He liked your recycle video.
Man, Frank Stallone, man. I feel like we have arrived, man. Frank Stallone.
The other one was a week ago, because I had to send it to our oldest son, was Vanessa Bryant, Kobe Bryant's wife.
Yeah.
Liked something. I can't remember if it was a picture or a reel on it. I sent it to him because he's a huge Kobe
Bryant fan, yeah.
And he just was like, "Oh my gosh, that is so awesome."
Now, I know none of these people know us. None of these people would ever remember us. But I mean, if you were in front of Frank Stallone and said, "Hey, thanks for liking my reel," he'd be like, "Who are you?" And then if you said, "The old guy or the young kid," he goes, "Oh yeah," they remember. They remember the gist of what they saw. I don't think they'd
made him chuckle. Don't you? Don't you ever? We sit there and go, "Oh my gosh, have you seen that reel of da 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 da?" We do the same thing.
Well, okay, and here's the deal: if there's so many thousands of shorts and reels that you look at that are funny.
Yeah.
But it's hard to find a channel that keeps producing stuff to where you go, I remember them.
Right.
I mean, if I go through 500 shorts today or 500 reels today or 500 TikToks, maybe 2 of them I'm going to recognize and go, "Oh, I know these guys, or I know this, this channel." but so many you don't, because there's so many people that just it is very difficult to put out content that is entertaining
all the time.
Yeah. And so, unless you're like Chris, the alligator guy, Chris, I will watch his stuff forever, even if he's just talking, nothing's happening. He's just sitting there in the water with an alligator.
Yeah.
I think that, but I remember his name. I remember all the videos, and I'll keep watching. But the problem is, and this is what I was trying to explain to my mother one time when she goes, I don't understand what you're doing. And I'm like, well, the reason we even have a shot at being memorable at all is two things. One is it's been over 3.5 years now, and we've consistently found new content. The kid with his videos finds new questions, new angles, a new shtick. It's not just, I explained it to her like this. I said, Mom, when you watched I Love Lucy, you kind of knew that Lucy was going to get herself into some pickle.
Right.
You knew Ricky was going to come home as the dumb husband who had no idea what was going on. And when he finally catches on, he's going to be mad at his wife. Every episode. We just didn't know what was going to happen to get her, but we tuned in every time. The kid, everybody knows I'm going to yell at the kid for something stupid. They just don't know what it's going to be this time.
Yeah.
Once I explained it to her like that, she got it. And I said, that's part one. Part two is the kid has grown Gen X Talks into such a brand that, like I said, we have brand managers now who are helping us reach out. After 3 years, we finally decided to, go out and look around. And you talk to Jacob, and Jacob says, you guys have consistent content on your Reels and Shorts and TikToks. You never miss a podcast every week. It comes out. You're getting an audience there. You're doing 2 or 3 interviews a month. The radio station's out there and it's growing. He goes, that's becoming a big selling point for Jacob, is to say, would you like a spot on the radio program? Because I'm getting tired of paying for the radio. The radio station is coming out of our pocket.
Yes, I know.
But and then he says, you guys, your website is always updated and filled. He says, and the tracking of the numbers is incredible. He goes, you've been able to do something as a brand and grow it to a solid brand. And you kept going for 3 years.
Yes. Now,
that's the crossover between channels that fall away or drift off, or they become mundane.
Longevity. We have some longevity.
So, and I like that. I like that Jacob was, giving us some props on that. Hey, kid, is your mic on?
Yeah, it is.
Can you explain something? The kid just joined in, so he didn't hear all the shit I was talking about him earlier.
He knows you were talking about him.
Can you tell us what Jacob came over, and what was the thing he was trying to make you guys connect on that is now going live for sponsors and advertisers?
So it's something called IZEA or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's IZEA. Basically, it's like a marketplace where we present, here is our analytics, here is our channel, and sponsors will go to that and see our site and see, oh, here's Gen X Talks, here's what they do, here's all their analytics. Yeah, I'd like to work with them.
For every platform, right?
Yes.
Doesn't it include everything we're doing?
I linked everything we do. Wow. The podcast, YouTube, Facebook, every Facebook page, like literally everything. And Instagram.
Jacob had said this is a relatively new way. It's been out for a little bit, but there's different sites doing it. But this is the new way that advertisers are trying to go shop. Mm-hmm. And he goes, this puts everything out there like they're walking up to a big Gen X Talks tree. And they can see fruit hanging from the tree, and one of them is podcast, and one of them's Instagram, and one of them's Facebook, and it has all of the things on this tree that they can look at, which is good. So
yeah, instead of trying to go to a ton of different people's houses door to door trying to sell bananas,
right?
He's bringing Gen X Talks, the bananas, to the grocery store for people to walk through and find them,
Well, anyway, that was something that's part of the brand thing and like that. And then
he said Briggs' mic is a little loud.
Oh, a little loud?
Uh-huh.
Oh, all right. I'll do it right there. Anyway, so that was the idea on that. And just the when I'm talking about how Frank Stallone and you've had many other people you've been able to identify. We just never talk about it.
Right.
And then now, Chris Cuomo is trying to do something with us and move that out there, and it just seems like there's a potential for something. I'd love to get a sponsor that would just sponsor the radio station, just pay some of the bills. Did you
tell the kid about Cuomo?
I didn't. He has no idea.
Well, do you want to get his reaction?
He wouldn't know who he is. I'll tell him, but not right now. We're taking up valuable radio time, man. Come on.
Gosh, okay. I thought it would be great to get a reaction,
All right, kid, are you listening? Because I can't see him, so he'll be on his computer not listening.
I am now.
Okay. Last name is pronounced Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo was the governor of New York. His dad, Mario Cuomo, years before, was the governor of New York. His brother, Chris Cuomo, was a big news anchor on ABC, moved to CNN for like 8 years. Now he's out with an independent agency, but he's a big name in, I would say, liberal Democrat media. But he has changed quite a bit. He's toned it down. He's not as he's a different guy right now, and doing a much better job at this. Anyway, he's like insanely popular amongst a lot of people. I mean, a ton. He's East Coast, I'm West Coast. He leans more Democrat, I'm more Republican. So we don't have as much in common, but he's huge. And we got a phone call. I talked to her on the phone today. His booking producer called, and they texted us first, then emailed, then we got on the phone, and they want us on his show next week.
Whoa! Wow!
Yeah.
Wait, want us? Or just you?
No, all three of us, actually.
What?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I left that part out because I didn't want you to say no. They want all three of us.
What?
She said, we will take whatever we can get. If it's just you, fine. If it's just you and the kid, fine. But we'd really like all three of you.
Oh, my gosh.
So, yeah. So next week.
Wait, so what do we do?
It's an interview, isn't it?
Oh.
All you got to do is be on camera, smile, answer some questions, and don't step on your dick.
God, that's a tough ask, man. That is
just don't fuck it up, man.
Oh my gosh.
You're
I have to go full Lebowski on you after it's over and go, you fucked it up. You fucked it up.
You're asking
Her life was in our hands, man.
This could do or die us.
Well, it could be a stupid thing if you go on there. If we're on there for like 10 minutes and we say something dumb,
That could be it. That could be the end of Gen X Talks.
Listen, if I can go on a Chris Cuomo show and not and behave myself, so can you.
So can me or so can her?
Her and you.
I behave myself.
So you're saying we'll blow it.
Yeah, you guys will blow it long before
When
I
have
will.
I ever blown an interview?
Oh my God. Let me count the ways.
No, seriously, like when?
I'm staying out
I
of
don't think I
this.
have.
I'm staying out.
Anyway, so that'd be something to do. I think it would be fun. It's lighthearted. It's not political. He closes out his week shows on Fridays with something fun. A lot of lighthearted segments. I think it would be fun to be part of that.
Well, that's cool. That'll be really cool, actually.
I think it would be. I think it'd be awesome. Yeah.
So do you have a car story this week?
I thought about one. It goes back a long ways. When I was 19.
Wow, that's a long ways.
You did not have to emphasize it like that.
Well, you said it was.
Well, yeah,
going way back.
You could
Your
just.
memory's gonna be okay to go back that far?
Why didn't you just say you're not that old or something? Why do you got to do that?
You're old.
Oh my God! All right,
19.
So
do you remember being 19?
Would you shut the?
Wow.
Trying to tell a story here. I tried to start a business when I was 19. The first business I tried to start
at 19.
19. It was in the Canyon Country area. There was an existing little RV used dealership, used cars and used RVs on Sierra Highway. It was right on the 14 and Sierra Highway before you cross the bridge across into Soledad and Sand Canyon and all that. It was before the river. And I was 19, and I tried to open. The business was called RRV. Reasonable repairs for vehicles. Yeah, I know. Real inventive. And so
that's what you came up with.
That's what I came up with. Yeah. So I talked to these old boys, a couple, father and son. They were old Jewish guys, real nice. Can't remember their names. Can't even remember the name of the
That's what happens
the
when you
business
get old.
was. Okay, here we go. And the thing we came up with was, I said, look, I'll move all my gear in here. And they had a little place for an office. And I said, I'll take over that office. And there was no rent. It was, I will work on their stuff for rent. Fix their cars and their stuff, tinker on stuff. Now, if it got to be a lot, they'd pay me, but we'd settle on a fair amount of free work and see where it goes from there. And I was free to work on my own stuff out, during the day when I wasn't working on theirs. So I did that and I started. And I don't, if you remember coming up, if you leave the San Fernando Valley, you come up over the 5, one of the first off ramps was Calgrove.
Yes.
And Calgrove used to have one building that stood there since like the 70s, I think. It was a Nissan car dealership, and it was all by itself, and it used to just sit there. It was the only thing you could see. And somehow the general manager of that car dealership needed to take his motorhome on a trip. So somehow he found this place, and they said, "Oh yeah, we have a guy here. Come, we'll fix your rig up." So the guy comes over and meets me. I said, "Well, I don't work for them. I'm by myself, but I'm 19." He goes, "Well, here's my motorhome. I'm going on a trip in a month. Fix it all up." So I did an oil change on the motorhome, and I tuned it up, and I did some belts and hoses, I think it was. And he wanted his refrigerator to make cold and his AC to make cold, and so I did all that stuff. And he paid me. I don't even remember how much it was, and he took off. And I knew exactly what I'd done. He filled out an invoice. He signed it. He had his copy. I had mine. So a month goes by, maybe 6 weeks. And this is summertime. I'm going to say this was 87 or 88. So maybe I was a little bit older than 19. I don't know. Anyways, about 87. I was about 19 or 20. Anyway, so 6 weeks goes by. And this guy... some person comes in and serves me papers. I'm getting sued.
What?
And this guy's motorhome had burned down.
Oh, shit.
While he was on vacation. Nobody was hurt. And he was suing me for the cost of the entire motorhome.
Why?
Because he said I caused the fire. Okay. My repairs went wrong and caused the fire.
Okay.
And, I'm thinking, I'm still very angry and arrogant at that point in my life, and I was just like, fuck you. I don't give a shit. I don't have any money. I don't have anything. What are you going to sue me for? And so I wasn't taking it as seriously as I probably should have. I certainly didn't have money to fight it with an attorney or anything. I didn't have any money. Anyway, so the guy, I contact his attorney, and they say, well, we have a report that says, what caused the fire. And I said, well, let me see it. So they mailed it to me, and it basically said his generator caught on fire. Oh. And I said, well, I didn't work on the generator. Nothing. I never did. I didn't check the oil. He said the generator's fine. So I never even looked at it, never even opened it up. But the report says the generator caused the fire without a doubt. Started at the generator, fuel leak or something, burned down the whole thing. So I called him back and said, look, dude, I didn't touch the generator, and my paperwork says nothing about the generator on it at all. I said, nothing to do with me. He goes, well, we're still going to prove you did it. You probably did touch the generator.
Wow.
Because his motorhome was just fine. Well, he's looking for somebody to blame.
Yeah.
So I did talk to a couple of attorneys. They said, well, you should win this, but it's going to cost you like $5,000 to have an attorney go in there. And, $5,000 is better than paying $45,000 for this motorhome. And I said, well, I don't have $5,000. I certainly don't have $45,000. And why can't I just go in there and tell the judge I didn't touch the RV? Because another attorney is going to make it look like you probably did. Like, in the course of normal maintenance, we're sure you wandered across the.
He'll word it his direction.
I was like, well, I don't have any money, and I don't give a shit anymore. And I remember I even had called the guy who was doing all this, what you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to call the attorney. I said, look, I don't have any money. And even if you sue me when you're not getting any money, he goes, well, I don't care. As long as I sue you and win, my insurance company will pay for this. Oh. And I said, if you win this, I said, I'm going to fucking hunt you down. Oh, God. Because I was 20 or 19. I said, I will find you, I was, me back then.
I know. Yeah.
So that's not much of a surprise for you.
No.
So anyway, so we go to court. And I'm sitting there, and we get up. You sit before the judge.
Did you have a lawyer?
Nope. Went by myself.
Okay.
And all I was going to do was go, look, I didn't do this. I didn't all this. I basically was going to pull the Joe Pesci thing even before that movie came out and go, everything that guy said was bullshit. You want to say everything he said was wrong, and this isn't how this works, and I didn't do it. Uh-huh. As I'm sitting there, and, there wasn't much evidence. There was my invoice, and then there was the paperwork from the other place that said the generator caused it, and then the lawsuit paperwork. And as the other attorney's talking, I'm sitting there, and I'm just kind of looking at things. And I looked at my invoice, my invoice to him, the receipt. And I noticed something. And it was a mistake in the paperwork. And I thought, this is such a stupid mistake. There's no way I would have done this. Now, what I didn't recall till that moment was a lot of this time when I was working, there was a girl I knew that was helping me do paperwork. She kind of worked for those guys cleaning the RVs and washing the cars with like her and one of her friends or her and her brother or something. But she started working with me doing paperwork. And I said, well, you know, and so she had filled out the paperwork on this RV.
Oh.
She wrote down all the information on my paperwork for the RV next to the one I was working on.
What?
She wrote down the wrong year, make, model, the wrong license, the wrong VIN, the wrong everything. It wasn't this guy's motorhome. I told her, I remember telling her, take this and go fill out the paperwork for the guy. He put his name, his phone number, his address on it. She takes the paperwork out to the RV and fills out the VIN, the mileage, the license, comes back in, and then him and I start writing what jobs we're going to do. Now, I leave that paperwork alone. I don't even use it for ordering parts because I don't want to clutter up the invoice. I just get my own scratch paper and I write down the year, make, model, engine size, and then I order my parts and do my thing.
Uh-huh.
Had I used the invoice, it was the completely wrong rig. It wasn't even the same brand.
Oh, no.
So when I stood up, I said to the judge, I said, is this the invoice, this exhibit, is this the invoice they're basing everything off of? And he goes, yes. And the other attorney agreed, yes. I said, does this guy own, I think he had like a Travette motorhome or something. I go, does he own an 85 Winnebago? And they said, what? I said, what vehicle burned down? And they said, well, the 1986 Travette or whatever it was. And I said, well, I worked on like an 83 Winnebago. It says so right here. Because their attorney never knew. The guy never caught it. I never caught it. All of my work in my invoice says that all of these things were done to like an earlier version of a Winnebago, not even the same anything.
Oh, my gosh. So the mistake turned out to be...
I got off free. They dismissed the case.
Oh, my gosh.
Because they couldn't actually prove I worked on his Travette. Now, they did ask me because all I would have had to say in court was when their attorney said, well, did you work on this man's Travette motorhome? If I would have said, well, yeah, then we would have been right back to square one. But at that point, I was catching on to how big the mistake was. He says, all right, let's skip the paperwork. He did bring his motorhome there. He did sign the paperwork, and you did work on it. Can we get past it, correct? And I went, I don't think I ever worked on that guy's motorhome. I don't even know who this guy is.
Tables.
I just played stupid because he couldn't make me say it. And at 20 years old, once I had that angle, I was shoving it up someone's ass. So I got away with the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It was just dumb luck. But to be fair, I like when things go that way for me because there's so many times that I've been railroaded by the system when I've lost money and I've lost in situations that I shouldn't have. It's not fair.
Uh-huh.
It's not fair that things went against me. I should have, but there's no way out of it and you lose.
Right.
Once in a while, the sun shines on a dog's ass. And that day, I was the dog's ass because it went my way. Incorrectly, it went my way. But remember, I wasn't even supposed to be there, in my opinion. So there's your car story for the day.
Very cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, make sure before you sue someone who doesn't deserve it, you've got your ducks in a row, asshole.
For sure.
Wouldn't it be funny if that guy was in charge of the dealership back in the mid-'80s if he was listening and he's like, you goddamn, yeah, statute of limitations, fuck off.
Maybe.
I don't know. So anyway, that's it. That's all I've got. That's the update.
Well, that's cool. I'm now crashing.
I can tell you're kind of sagging in that chair. You're settling in like a drunk person.
Yeah, I need to go take some more medicine. I'm sorry, everyone. It was a little quiet today, but I'm here.
Well, we have to say goodbye on the radio. So for right now, say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.
Everybody, we got to get out of here. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for stopping by. If you had an hour of your time to waste, why not waste it here with Gen X Talks Podcast? You had better things to do, but you wasted time. You blew them off and you were here with us. Not sure where you're listening in from around the planet, AM, FM, Sirius XM, or perhaps somewhere on the Armed Service Radio Network. Remember two things, wherever you go, there you are. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side.